Alright folks, going to do a kind of a overview of everything I was able to purchase at Gencon 2019, as well as some of the Kickstarter stuff that I picked up there. So I guess let's just dive right into it. First up on the list is Fireball Island, the new expansion, Spider Springs. I'm not really sure what all it really adds, other than more marbles and another board to run around on. But looking to get that to the table along with Fireball Island. Picked up the Clank Acquisitions Incorporated Upper Management Pack. This is the these are like 4 more characters for either your base game of Clank or the Acquisitions Incorporated Legacy style version of Clank, which actually just went up for pre-purchase yesterday, I believe, or pre-order rather. They're supposed to deliver in September. They're supposed to have it limited copies available at Essen, but retail release is September at some point. So there's characters. Each character has its own unique starting deck, so it kind of mixes things up in that format. There's also miniatures instead of the wooden meeples, so I've already opened this one up and looked through it a little bit, but you'll see we've got miniatures that are fairly decently sized compared to the wooden meeples of the base game. So let's just get all this back in here. So that's the upper management pack. You know what? Let's go ahead and open up Spider Springs, and we'll see what it looks like on the inside here. Looks like a couple more bridges, some marbles, a couple bridges there, another deck of cards. I'm trying to get this so everybody can see it here pretty easily. I guess these are the spiders, and I'm assuming they're eggs. Yeah, those look like they're going to fly all over the place. And then the board, all pre-constructed. It's a spider web, I guess. Okay, so it kind of locks down in place, and you can hit this lever, and I'm assuming it's going to shoot spiders everywhere. And then the instruction book. So there's more of that. That's the Fireball Island Spider Springs. And then I got the new board for Clank. That's Expeditions Temple of the Ape Lords. It comes with new meeples. It's expansion for the base game. It's another double-sided board. It says there's 40 more tokens. Then the new meeples as well. So I haven't cracked this open to see what, if any, rule differences. I'm sure there are some. There are definitely rooms that are oddly shaped here, pentagonal and triangular rooms, as well as ice caverns. Haven't seen those since the base game, so that's kind of nice. But that's Expeditions Temple of the Ape Lords. Next is King's Dilemma. This is I guess, kind of a legacy style game. You just open up. It's sort of a narrative type game. The rule book for this thing is really thick. Let's see here. What we got? 48 pages of rules. These are player screens. So I believe the premise of this game is everybody is sort of an advisor to a king. and you're trying to influence his decisions towards what you would want done. Here's a bunch of unlockable material and the board, and then all of these right here are all little envelopes that contain cards that you're going to open throughout the game. So let's just get all that back in there nice and neat. A legacy-like experience. So I guess you're probably not going to be stickering or like tearing up cards, but you're going to be we used all the envelopes, so you'll be going through the narrative and it'll say open up this packet. If you chose this, you open up this number packet. If you chose that, you open up a different number packet. So your choices are going to matter. That is King's Dilemma. Looks to be pretty interesting. Then we have Bargain Quest. This is a little card drafting style game from Renegade, where you are playing, each player is a shop owner, and you are trying to get the heroes to buy your weapons and your goods so that when they go down into the dungeon, you get sort of a reputation for selling, the best weapons or the best items. Your items help to, slay the monsters, etc. It's definitely a different take on the whole fantasy style thing. It looked interesting. We'll see how it goes. That's Bargain Quest. There's also a ton of expansions for this, I believe, which I did not get because I was not sure if I was going to like the base game. Here is Homebrewers. This is a game from Greater Than Games. Actually played this last night, and it's a resource management style game where you're essentially taking on the role of a home brewer. You're trying to brew the best beers and get the more you brew a style of beer, the more experience you get with it, the more victory points, etc. There's 2 scoring phases, and then at the end of the second scoring phase, you do like a judging type style thing for Oktoberfest, and then whoever has the most victory points wins the game. The theme interested my group because one of the guys in our group actually does brew his own beer and has won in local competitions, but it's just, we're into the craft beer, so it kind of, we were interested in this, or at least I was, so I bought it. The theme is, I don't want to say it's pasted on, but this could have easily been, you could do the same, use the same mechanics, and everybody's a different car manufacturer, and instead of having styles of beer, you have you have a truck, a car, or a sedan, an SUV, and whatever, a sports car. And then it's not, the theme isn't pasted on, but it could easily be reworked for another theme. So it's also not, it's very light in terms of detailing what actually goes into brewing beer. So you have one token that represents all of the possible ingredients and whatnot that you would need to brew a beer, rather than having hops separate than the grain, etc. It's just one token that represents all the ingredients you would need to brew a beer. So it's sort of a 10,000 foot view of brewing beer. But that being said, it was a very fun game, and I look forward to playing it again. I also got the expansion. There's a little mini expansion that adds equipment cards, which we did not use because we wanted to see how the base game was without that stuff in it. But that's all in this box as well. I just threw away it came in a little like bubblegum baseball card pack. So next up are Legends, the Unmatched Battle Legends Volume 1. So this is the base set, comes with Medusa, King Arthur, Alice, and Sinbad. You're essentially, it's a card game, you're playing cards against each other. A little bit of a miniatures game. There's a board where your miniatures moving around, and you have to work line of sight to different colored circles. But each deck each character is a separate deck, so they play completely differently, which is, I guess, sort of the allure for this. Let's go ahead and open this up. This is from Restoration. This was a re-theme of a Star Wars game, I believe, but I don't know the name of it. Star Wars Epic Duels. It's right here on the back. So there's some cardboard dials. There's the map. The 4 decks of cards. You have these tokens. The miniatures come sort of like with a wash on them. So they got like a sort of a wash on them. Makes them look pretty nifty. Better than just unpainted miniatures. They actually. So I think it's Awaken Realms that tries to do that sun drop technique. This is just a wash. It's all over, and it looks so much better than sun drop. But I digress. So that's that. It's Unmatched, and then I got the Robin Hood Bigfoot expansion. This is actually a completely standalone game for 2 players. So the base box plays 4. The expansion plays 2, but it adds Bigfoot and Robin Hood into the mix as well. They were also selling Bruce Lee, but they only had like probably, I'd say 50 to 100 copies each day, and they sold out within 30 minutes and from the vendor hall opening at 10 a.m. And I did not get a chance to get that, but I'm sure it will be at retail soon enough. Next up is Era, and then the mini expansion collector set number 1. This just adds a couple more dice and 2 more buildings to build. In Era, it's sort of a build as a roll and write, so to speak, but it's more of like I guess a roll and build or a draft and build. No, I guess it is roll and build. So you're going to be rolling dice, and there's the player screens. So here's your board. I'm not too happy with how that looks. It's like, I don't know. I don't like that color at all. But anyways, you're going to be rolling dice. Depending on what you roll, you will be building buildings, which, let's get that over there. Here's all the buildings. Different style buildings. I can get one of these opened up. There's walls, and you're basically scoring points. So these are going to kind of go in here and sit in there like that, and you're going to build a city, and then score points accordingly. To try to win the game. It looked interesting. It looks a little bit more involved than a roll and write, or a little bit more visually appealing, I guess. Which is why I kind of gravitated to it. But that's there. And that's Era. Medieval Age. We'll see how that one goes. And then the expansion is just a couple two more buildings, with the dice. Then we have Machikoro Legacy style game. So basically have to get it. It's basically Machikoro, and it's just a legacy version of it. You're gonna write things on the board. I'm assuming you're gonna sticker stuff and tear up cards and stuff. But I believe Machikaro is sort of like a city building type game. But we'll see how this goes. It doesn't look as I haven't played Machikaro. I'm not a big fan of the artwork. It just looks a little too cartoony for me, but we'll see. It's a hefty box. Then I also picked up Conspiracy, Solomon Gambit. This is another restoration game, and I'm trying to remember the original name of the game. Let's open this guy up. Just take a look. I'm sure they say every game deserves another turn. That's their motto. There's the board, I'm assuming. Yep. Instructions. Here we go. Oh, errata sheet already. That's okay. Let's see. This re-implements Conspiracy. Okay. Solomon's Gambit. Later version called Casablanca. Yeah. I'm not quite sure. It's a restoration game, which is why I bought it. I believe you're sort of trying to get briefcase. There's a briefcase on the board that you're trying to get to a certain spot as a spy, but you're not. You don't want to let the other people know where you're trying to get it, or that type of thing. It's definitely. I wouldn't call it a party game per se, but it seems like it's going to be that sort of social game of that nature. So that was Conspiracy, the Solomon Gambit from Restoration Games. Then I've got a bunch of Shadows of Brimstone stuff. So we got two. These are a Scaffold Lieutenant, Fast Draw Jeb Scafford. He's a lieutenant for the Scafford gang. And then we have Solarius Dracoth for the Wasteland. He's a Wasteland War Master. Kind of show these here too real quick. Jeb's pretty cool. He's got 4 arms. So there's the resin. These guys are resin. It's nice because it's pre-assembled. So I think Flying Frog is starting to learn a little bit. In the past, maybe one of the guns or one of his arms or legs or whatever would be separate, and you'd have to glue it together, which was a pain in the butt with resin. I hate dealing with resin. So that's Jeb, and then here is the War Master. He's also in one piece. You just got to put him in. You just got to put each of those in their base. Then we have new card packs. The Red Rock Gulch game supplement. This is Canyon Encounters for the canyons. We've got Canyon Artifacts #1 supplement, and we've got Enemy Traits Pack #2. I've heard good things about this trait pack #2. This sort of augments the enemies and bosses with special traits that make them unique. So you're not fighting. You are fighting the same monsters over and over again, but they're unique. There's a little caveat or a little hiccup to what their normal style would be. So then we also have here the Lost Marshals, and these guys are all plastic. White? Oh no, they're metal. That's cool. So I gotta glue metal together, or cement metal together, I guess. Infamous Undead Outlaw Gang. I believe there's a card for them already. These are the metal edition. I'll have to look and see if there's supposed to be a card in there or not. But that's the Lost Marshals. Then we have the Mining Lift, which is it comes with 2 new missions, and this is the resin lift. So you've got the lift here, and then the door actually can come up You can paint that to look like a well, I guess. Come in and out, and there's the or no, here it is. You don't paint it. You just put the thing in there, just like that. Oh, it doesn't fit. It doesn't fit. Maybe those just go on the map. Yeah, they must just go on the map. Yeah. Oh well. And then 2 missions. One's called Down the Dark Shaft. The other one's called Delve Too Deep. This one looks like it's pre-configured. Yeah, and you can paint it up. There's different themes for the levels. That's pretty nifty. That's the mining lift. Then we have the Swamp Raptor Egg Nest with a mission as well. This is resin. One big resin piece. I only have one Swamp Raptor. I guess I'll have to get another one. That would make sense for be able to lay eggs that way. And there's a mission here. We also have the Shikari Nomad Crusaders. These are plastic, so these are put together plastic. So you're going to have to assemble. Looks like their heads and an arm or two. They all look the same. And there's some cards, a couple tokens, the enemy sheet, probably some rules, how they come into play, or what they can do. Shikari Nomad Crusaders. I don't know if these are for... They've got to be for the base or the Western side, and not the Japanese, the feudal Japan themed. And then the one that I was excited about, the Void Swarms and Void Hives enemy pack. Comes with a big, yeah, look at that. It's a lot of stuff to put together. Oh no, those are already put together. I gotta clip them out. There's the big hive. But yeah, that'll be fun to put all that together. I wonder, these guys are metal miniature set, Infamous Outlaw Gang. They've got to be a card. I'll have to look and see. I don't know if there was supposed to be a card in there or not. I'll have to go to the geek and find out, or just ask the frogs. So that was all the Shadows of Brimstone stuff. I believe I have everything made for that game so far. Backed all the Kickstarters at the max level and all that. It's a really fun game. And then this was, for me, the surprise hit of Gencon. I saw, normally games based on movies are pretty not good, to be kind. And then Ravensburger, which isn't, I mean, they've been around, they do really good puzzles, I guess, and Labyrinth was a pretty decent game, but for the most part, they don't have any sort of big hits that are instantly recognizable that I can think of. But Jaws is this is a very fun game. Played this a couple times now. One person plays as the shark on this little board. It's got a nice small footprint, which is great if you don't have a huge table. So the first, you're going to play Act 1. You're going to go, it's a hidden movement game for the shark player. So the shark's going to go around the island. You're trying to eat swimmers. And then the 3 good guys who play as Hooper, Brody, and Quentin, they are trying to catch the shark, or at least stop it from eating swimmers. And they do that just like they do in the movie by attaching 2 barrels to it. And then once you get through Act 1, you go to Act 2, where you're going to actually be fighting on, there's tiles that go here, that you're going to be fighting on the orca against the shark. And essentially the shark is either trying to kill all 3 of the players or destroy the boat, and the 3 players are trying to kill the shark. So It's a very fun game. It is very suspenseful. It's pretty easy to learn and pick up. I was pleasantly surprised with it. It does sort of give you that feel in the movie, or does justice to the movie. So maybe we'll see Jaws 2 next year. Who knows? But yeah, very, very good. Very good game, Jaws, from Ravensburger. And then I was also able to pick up some Kickstarters. So I picked up all my Kickstarter stuff for Nocturion. What caught my eye about this game on Kickstarter is actually the artwork. It reminded me a lot of Brass, just how it's dark. The board is dark. You're gonna have different tiles out here. It's sort of a, well, I'm not sure how to describe it actually, but you got all kinds of player boards. The art, I really like the artwork. It reminded me of Brass, so that's why I got it. Decks of cards, pretty standard dice. Not very impressed with those, but the artwork for this, the board is just great. Here are all the tiles. Lumber mill, griffin nest, and then a bunch of looks like resource tokens, victory point tokens, rules. So I picked that up. The only thing I did not get, they did not have the sleeves there, so they're shipping me the sleeves separately. Shipping everybody who picked them up. And then here's like a resource pack to replace the wooden components that are like realistic resources. So you got gold bars, you got a crown, there's the start player token, green bows and arrows, wood pieces, there's a hammer there. Here's a seasonal calendar, so sort of, I vaguely remember this during the Kickstarter. There's a sort of a timer in the middle of the board that sort of determines what you can do and can't do, and this is an optional, if I recall correctly, this is an optional method for that. You put this in the middle of the board instead, and then you can do different things. And then there's a coin pack with different metal coins, because you can never have too many metal coins for a game. So that's Nocturion. Then I picked up my copy of Terror Below with the Hidden Cache expansion. This is basically Tremors, the board game. Played it once, played with one too many worms, so we were, it was pretty hectic and a little difficult, but I think with a couple more plays it's going to be a lot more fun. This is from Renegade as well, and the board looks great. My board was damaged. You see here the board sort of oddball shaped, so like one of my corners on this was already starting to peel off, but I'm not going to be too worried about it. It's got all these plastic eggs, that's dice. I actually have two sets of dice. This is going to bug me until I fix it. I have two sets of dice, one wooden and one plastic. I think the plastic ones are the one that comes with the game, and the wooden ones were so-called exclusive, but I actually like the plastic ones better. And then the Hidden Cache expansion, I actually put most of it, I put all of it in the main box except for the big queen miniature here. You've probably seen quite a few people painting these guys already, but that's that. I gotta figure out how I'm gonna get that into the main box so I can get rid of that little expansion box not needed. And then picked up part of my Cloudspire Kickstarter. So, put this out of the way. Cloudspire. This is the big game from Chip Theory Games. So they're the ones that have all the poker chips. They did Too Many Bones and Hoplomachus, which is a great game. I think I like Hoplomachus more than I like Too Many Bones, but that might be the wargamer in me coming out a little bit, as wargaming as a gladiator game is. It's a nice inside of the box, all made up. It's pretty nice, well packed as always. Now they did give me replacement trays for these trays, and I don't remember why. Maybe they weren't made properly. I can't really see much of a difference. I don't know. But they said to take the trays that were in here, get rid of them, and replace them with these trays. So I'll probably do that at some point. These are all the tiles. All these tiles are. This is all like mouse pad material. They're not stitched on the ends, which means they're probably going to start peeling at some point. But it's pretty nice. And then of course dice, custom dice. It looks like the player mats. They do all their stuff. All their cards and everything are plastic. Here's a catalog, I guess. Yeah, I'll have to go through that later. See what I missed, what I didn't buy. Tiny pegs in a little case. So here's all the pegs that you're going to use, and they put them in these nice little carrying cases here. I'm assuming that's what that's for. To just stay there. Now I can't get it back on. Oh, it twists on. That's awesome. It twists and locks. That's cool. More mat pieces. Mouse pad material, very nice. And then all the poker chips. These are all the health. Let's open up one of these here. Nice quality poker chips. Nice printing on them and everything. Just your usual good stuff from Chip Theory. Looks like there's a card box here to put the cards in. Alright, so let's get all this back in here. That was in there. This was next with that. And that was on top. And that was the base game for Cloudspire. Let's slide that down there. And then there's the replacement trays again that they told me to use. Here is the scenario book. This is separate, so this will go in the main game. This is for the Grige, which is here. So here's the Grige expansion. Let's open that bad boy up. It looked like there might be enough space in the base box to get all of this stuff in there. We shall see. That's the aim anyways. I'd like to stick everything into one giant box. Yeah, so here's the Grige. Why do they need... Oh, for this. I see. So there's the mat, the mouse pad mat, their I guess their faction thing, and then the dice, and then their poker chips. And this it's just another faction for the game. Fifth faction, I think. And then there's a scenario book that uses them. And then I have the actual rule book for Cloudspire, as well as, let's see what else is in here. These all came separate too. And they explained to me why they did this, but now I can't remember. I don't know if it was a misprint or they didn't get delivered on time. So what do we have here? We have a nice thick piece of cardboard to keep the books from bending. That's great. We have the cooperative scenarios. This is actually paper, so this is not their usual plastic. And here's all the cooperative scenarios. I guess you can play against the board somehow. Then we have solo scenarios. A lot of stuff in there. And then the actual rule book, version 1.0. It goes through how to play the game. So that's nice. And then I have the Portal Seekers content expansion. Looks like it's just more more cards, more matte tiles, maybe a few poker chips. We'll see here. Yeah, another set of poker chips, cards, things you can find. The Cloud Spire is kind of like a tower defense, not a tower defense. Well, I guess it is tower defense. Each player is going to have their city, their spire, and you're going to be sending your units out to attack the other people or to explore, and they're going to follow a set path, and they're just going to butt heads. They're going to meet, and then they're do damage, and then just keep trucking along, and hopefully you're going to get enough of your units to the opposing player's spire to actually start damaging it, and so forth and so on. I'm guessing that under here is another mat, or a couple mats, and more boards there. Let's get that back in there, that in there. So that's the Portal Speakers content expansion for Cloud Spire, and then of course I had to get the premium health chips because I love poker chips. So they're the full. So the health chips that come with any of the Chip Theory games are just a plastic chip that's super lightweight and doesn't match the actual other poker chips. But they sell these premium chips that you can get if you want a premium version of the game, so to speak. So I had to get them, of course. So that's everything I got at Gencon. I think that's it. You got some free dice. Got a couple promos. Got the promo for Horrified. So another Ravensburger game is Horrified. It's a cooperative game where you're trying to defeat the Universal Studios monsters. So like Frankenstein's monster, The Bride, Monster from the Blue Lagoon, Dracula, Invisible Man, etc. I got the promo for that game. So I got the clear Invisible Man, but I don't have the game yet. I'm gonna have to go get it from Target. For some reason, they only brought like 100 copies a day, and they were selling out within 30 minutes. They had plenty of copies of Jaws, or either that or it wasn't selling. Let's see, the Bruce Lee was the other one that I wanted to get that I didn't get a chance to get. I wanted to get a copy of there's a World War II card game called Undaunted. I wanted to get a copy of that, but they were in short supply. I'm trying to think of anything else that I tried to get and was unable to. I think that's it. Bought a kilt, so that's it's going to be fun to wear around. But yeah, other than that, Gen Con 2019 was a pretty fun time. I got to play with the Players Aid guys, Alexander and Grant. My brother and I played with a game of Genesis with them Thursday evening. That was a lot of fun. I think if they do the Insurgency again next year for Gen Con, we're probably going to go and spend most of the day, if it's Thursday again, most of the day Thursday there rather than wandering the vendor hall like we did this year. I really want to get a 6-player game of Mare Nostrum going because I've yet to play a 6-player game, and it's just a fun game. But yeah, that's everything I got from Gen Con. Probably going to be doing some videos for some of these guys in the very near future. I've got so much other stuff to go through too. Well, you guys will see it whenever I do it. Alright guys, thanks for watching.